US President Joe Biden is set to meet the Prime Minister and President of Vietnam in the coming hours. It's part of the schedule for the final day of his trip to the country. The trip to Hanoi comes as Washington tries to strengthen ties in Southeast Asia amid souring relations between the US and China. Jessica Washington joins us now live from Hanoi. And so, Jessica, despite what President Biden has to say, is the lasting impression he leaves behind as his visit winds up that this is about containing China?
Well, Sammy, just a short while ago, we saw President Biden making his way to Vietnam's presidential palace on the way to meet Vietnam's prime minister and then later the president. Important to note that he's meeting all facets of Vietnam's leadership, which certainly signifies the importance that Washington is placing on this bilateral relationship with Vietnam. What we've heard repeatedly from President Biden is that this bolstering of ties with Vietnam or other countries throughout the region is not intended to contain China, but rather to create a stable and peaceful Indo-Pacific, and that he has no intention of hurting or causing any damage to China. Now, it is worth noting and seeing this in the broader context of the U.S. engagement with Southeast Asia throughout the Biden administration, Washington attempting to portray itself as a stable, steady and reliable partner, one that's not only engaging with the region because its relations with China have taken a rather sour turn, but that is certainly part of the equation and a large part of the reason why Washington is placing such importance on this relationship with Vietnam. Worth noting that as Washington is looking to diversify supply chains out of China, well, Vietnam's status as an emerging manufacturing hub is certainly significant here.
And if we look at things from the Vietnamese perspective, what are they looking for in this kind of upgrading of relations? Is it just about business or also something of a rebalancing act of their international relations?
Well, there's certainly much for Vietnam to gain here. Certainly an attempt to show balance in its foreign policy. Worth noting that as Washington has achieved this upgraded bilateral tie, they're now on the same level as Beijing and Moscow. In terms of the economic situation, well, this bolstering of ties with the U.S. has certainly been beneficial for Vietnam. The trade surplus has been beneficial in terms of economic growth and job creation. Some of the deals that have been arranged throughout this week of diplomacy certainly significant for the Vietnamese economy. I'll just make a note of some of them. Microsoft will work with to develop generative AI products for Vietnam and other emerging markets. NVIDIA will work with several Vietnamese firms on AI. There's also an investment and innovation summit taking place today on Monday in Hanoi. Representatives from U.S. tech firms meeting with other firms in Vietnam, including Vietnam's EV manufacturer VinFast. So certainly some significant economic opportunities for Vietnam here in pursuing closer ties with Washington, while also maintaining that balancing act of ensuring positive ties with Beijing as well.
All right, Jessica Washington there.